Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Shafiq Mirosman. I am the first representative for my group, and we are from section 7, and we will be explaining about our group project for Raft House for subject fluid mechanics with subject code DAM 23903. And here is my group members, starting with me, Syafin Iqbal Birosman as the group leader. Second one is Muhammad Izzuddin Mizamri. The third one is Muhammad Fazli bin Zul, and the last one is Muhammad Azmin bin Yunus. So for the first part, which is the introduction, so first of all, I would like to talk about one of the natural disaster that strike Malaysia, which is flood. So basically, flood is one of the natural disaster that frequently occur in the world in a certain area of country. So based on the Merriam-Webster dictionary, the word flood itself can be defined as a rising and overflowing of a body of water, especially onto normally dry land. So basically in Malaysia, floods are one of the main disasters that affect our country, which is influenced by the seasonal monsoon floods, which is the most serious, as well as flash floods and tidal floods. So these types of floods are usually caused due to human factors and natural causes respectively. So despite all the worst thing that flood can give to a certain country, uh, fortunately, all these occurrences event has been settled by a lot of ideas and method. So one of the ideas and methods are making dams, flood diversions channels or tunnels, and flood forecasting and warning system. So basically, there is one idea or invention, which is the invention of the Raft House, in an effort to counter the flood. So basically, this idea of inventing the Raft House is not a new idea because it has been introduced since the long time ago. So therefore, in this group project, we will be explaining about our own design and invention of a Raft House for this project.
Okay, Assalamualaikum and hi. Okay, next we're gonna go to the background of case study. Okay, in this slide, I will present the list of household items that has been listed. Okay, all of them total 12. Okay, and for the criteria, I will be focused on the weight. Okay. Okay, for first items is TV LED. Okay, the total weight for the TV LED is 6.2 kilogram. Okay, for the second items is freezer. The total weight for the freezer is 34 kilogram. Okay, next we go to the storage box and close and important documents that we can see at the below of the slide. Okay, total weight that we found from these items is 67.5 kilogram. Okay, for the fourth item is air purifier, and the total weight for this air purifier is 12 kilogram. And the fifth item is clean master robot. The total weight for this item is 4 kilogram. And next, for the microwave, The total weight is 12 kilogram, and the servant is so far 40 kilogram, and the carpet is 30 kilogram, and for the cowee, the weight for this cowee is 32.8 kilogram, and for the tent modem, which is 225 gram, and rice cooker 3.61 kilogram, and lastly is stand fan, which is 8.3 kilogram. Okay, that's all 12 items that I has been described. Okay, that's all for the background of case study.
Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Izzuddin Bezamri. Number metric AA200789. I will talk about basic theory first. The rough house. Houses are basically one of the main accommodation needed by the people who are looking to seek a place to live and carry on their daily life. Interestingly, a few years ago, a new invention of the house are introduced. In fact, has been early introducing a long time ago. A raft house, a floating house, in other terms called a rafting house, is a traditional architecture style building that use a raft structure and reside above the water. Okay, now I will talk about material selection. First, bamboo platform. Bamboo is a low specific weight and cavity material. Some people mistake the cavity in the bamboo cause for a flow and weakness, but the truth about the mistake is the outer part of bamboo so has a higher density than the inside. Frequently used in a lighter, less rigid construction, the structure of bamboo changes when it become more elastic and tough. To break it, it become more powerful and reliable. Bamboo is a hygroscopic material that has an affinity for water and is able to absorb and remove water depending on the temperature and humidity. The absorption of water that can cause the rough house to sink down into the flood or river can be controlled. Okay, next, HDPE blue barrel. Plastic barrel are one of the material that can be used as the floating house footing. The goal of this study is to determine the level of buoyancy, the number of material required, and the cost of building a simple floating dwelling unit utilizing plastic barrel as platform. This floating house material is plastic barrel that have good buoyancy, lightweight, and are easy to obtain as it commonly available around us. Other than that, plastic barrels are made from high density, high molecular weight polyethylene. Okay, next, all automotive tire. All rubber tire have a high buoyancy due to air accumulate in tube made of rubber. Rubber is also one of the material that can withstand high air pressure and can keep air from coming out. This plays a very important role in keeping the tire floating on the surface of the water. For this project, we plan to use several units of all vehicle tire tube that have the same size and are in good condition to ensure that this rough house floats well and stably. The position is very helpful in maintaining the buoyancy and stability of the rough house to carry the essential goods that have been specified. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum. Hi, my name is Muhammad Azmi Yunus. My number metric is 2059. So I will tell about the analysis and the calculation. For the analysis, First thing first, we must know the density and the volume of empty plastic drum. So for the density is 9.97 kg and for the volume is 0.0105 meter cube. Next, we must know four others value, which is volume of the raft floor, volume of the raft walls, volume of roof and the mass of the raft. So the volume of the raft floor is 9.28 meter cube. The raft wall is 0.35 meter cube. For the volume of roof is 2.08 meter cube, and the last one is mass of the raft, which is 4,976.75 kilogram. So for the calculation, we have to calculate three things, which is total weight of the item, people, draft house, and the additional weight, weight of the empty plastic drum, and the weight acting on one plastic drum. So the total weight is 53,352.51 Newton. For the weight of empty plastic drum is 97.8 Newton. And the last for the weight acting on one plastic drum is 2,638.40 Newton. After that, we can calculate the volume needed to float 53,352.59 Newton, which is 5.439 meter or bigger. Last but not least, we have to find the minimum amount of barrels needed to float the raft. After we done the calculation, we know that we have to use 20 barrels of 200 liters are needed in order to provide enough floating factor to the raft house, which is in this case 34 barrels are being used, which is more than enough.
So the next part is discussion. So in this part, I will be explaining about the purpose of the calculation analysis. So the purpose of the calculation analysis of plastic barrels on floating footing is to determine the strength of the floating footing in order to determine how many plastic barrels are required to bear the weight of the floating home structure. So in order to find this information, we need to follow the buoyancy principle given, which is FB or total buoyant material must exceed the W or total weight of the material itself. So here is the calculation to find the buoyancy force of floating platform or blue barrel and the buoyancy force needed or required or the total weight of materials. So the first one, to find the buoyancy force of floating platform, we need to find the buoyancy force of one barrel, which is we got around 2,638.4 Newton, and then multiplied by the number of barrels that our raft house design use, which is 24 barrels. So the total buoyancy force of floating platforms is 63,321.6 Newton. Next, the total buoyancy force needed or required, or the total weight of materials of our raft house. Based on the previous calculation, we got 53,352.51 Newton. So based on the following calculation, we have found that the number of blue barrels required are 24 units, having a total belonging force of 63,321.6 Newton, which technically has exceeded the minimum required buoyancy force of 53,352.51 Newton. So based from this data, we can conclude that our raft house design can float and support our total weight of materials. Therefore, this satisfies the buoyancy principle, which is the FB or total buoyant material must exceed the W or the total weight of materials.
Last is the conclusion. According to this project, a new safe home model that may be employed in the recreation industry could include the concept of developing a new raft house model. The buoyancy and durability of the material utilized to make the raft house float efficiently should be taken care of in this instance because they are related to the floating mechanism. These features need to be resilient to natural disasters. Finally, the neighborhood need to be made aware of the value of the raft home to us and our future. Thank you.